G'day everyone. Well, here you can now see that I have now installed my phytoplankton culturing sump under the display Refugium. It's actually working quite nicely. I'm very happy with it. Got nice water level. As you can see, there's a nice amount of water above the return pump, and it's flowing nicely from the center chamber. That will be the Koaleigh chamber. The egg crate will stop any Koaleigh from overflowing from the main chamber into the return pump. I currently have the protein skimmer in here. That's only a temporary measure until I can get some Koaleigh growing in here. I'll have another sump actually underneath the 125. This whole system will be all plumbed together. It'll actually end up being about a 180 gallon system. So it'll be a 2 sump system, and this protein skimmer will be in the sump underneath the 125. But I don't have the 125 set up yet, and so I'll be working on that hopefully next weekend, and have it done either by the weekend after. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks I'll have the 125 running, but for now I've got no Koaleigh in here, and I don't have the 125 running, so I temporarily need the protein skimmer in here. And my wife and I, we put our heads together and come up with a solution with the problem I had before. If the power goes off, water will back siphon into the sump, and I did test it out, and it will overflow into or through that drain pipe and into the phytoplankton chamber. The water did rise above that drain pipe. So my wife said, "Oh, what about one of those float valves?" And it's like, yeah, well, actually I do have a spare one of those. So done a bit of ingenuity and put a few things together. The stuff that I had lying around, I had like one of those connector fittings, and I siliconed the float valve into that connector fitting. That plastic tubing actually goes through the glass, so that black connector fitting pushes into the pipe, that the pipe is through the glass, so it helps to seal the hole in the glass, so no water will actually get through the hole now. And when the water level rises, if the power goes off, the float valve rises up and seals off any access into the phytoplankton chamber. I can give a little demonstration of how that works. Let's come around here, turn the power off. So that turns the return pump off. You can see the water levels rising. And the back siphon has stopped. That is actually under the water level, and as you can see on this side, no water's coming in. So the float valve floats up, turns off the valve, and does not allow any water to pass through, and no water enters into the phytoplankton chamber. So that's a problem well solved. Now I'll go turn everything back on again. As it pumps, the water level goes back down again, and the float valve will drop, and it should open up that valve again. So when I put the aqua lifter on here and it pumps whatever frequency I set it for, it should flow out of the float valve into the Koaleigh chamber. I have yet to still fill up the phytoplankton chamber to make sure that it still does flow out. I mean, these are adjustable, but you know, I've got a little bit of play there. So I think, you know, once the phytoplankton level reaches up to the overflow pipe, it should flow into here and feed all the copepods that are breeding in all the Koaleigh that I'll have in here. So I'm really happy with how it's come out. It's looking really good, and it's just a matter now of setting up the 125, getting all that organised. There's still a lot to do. I've got to do all the aquascaping and got to make up a lot more salt water and settle the sump up, do the plumbing. I'm going to be running the plumbing from the drain from the display Refugium. I'll be running the drain from that under the floor of the house, and that'll be flowing into the sump of the 125. And then that water from that sump will be getting pumped up into that display tank of the 125. And the water from the 125 will be draining down under the floor and into this sump, and then getting pumped up into the display Refugium. So that's how I intend on circulating from tank to tank. And all of this should be a natural filter for the whole complete system. I'll have all my Koaleigh down here. I'll have the phytoplankton feeding the copepods, and the copepods will also be cleaning up all the detritus, and I'll have all my macroalgae growing up here as a natural filter, and also, I mean, you've got such a variety of macroalgae that it'll be an incredible looking display in itself. So yeah, really looking forward to getting it all set up and organised. The dosing pump and all the nutrients that'll be going underneath the 125. So this space will be for storing the salt water for the phytoplankton, which I'll probably use like one of these empty 1 gallon containers. I'll put salt water in there at 1.020 and then just use the aqua lifter to pump it into the phytoplankton chamber. But that's just going to be trial and error as to how often and how much I'm going to be dosing that. So everything's looking good so far, and if all goes well within the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping to get the 125 up and running and have everything all plumbed together and have an incredible system that is very healthy and a little bit unique, and hopefully very healthy and beautiful coral tank with a beautiful display Refugium. So leave any comments in the comments section below, and if you like my video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, and I shall catch you on the next video.